Hi everyone. So this is day 7. Yeah, we've been doing this 7 days now. Day 7 of Vlogoween. And today's topic is going to be a part 2, basically, to a video I did 9 years ago. So I think we're due for a part 2. This is my favorite Treehouse of Horror segments. So Treehouse of Horror is basically the Simpsons Halloween specials. And so I'm not doing like whole episodes, I'm just doing like little segments because each episode is basically 3 short stories. And most of these are based on movies and TV shows and fairy tales and stuff. They're basically horror parodies um, featuring Simpsons characters. So I will link below the original video that I did. Check that one out. And then here are 10 more of my favorite Treehouse of Horror segments. There are so many really good ones. I noticed, though, some of the ones from like 2006 on, I don't remember as much as some of the ones before that. And I think that's because around that time I was less interested in The Simpsons as I had been as a kid. So, they're all still great, but I really enjoy the older seasons of The Simpsons compared to, the ones in the last few years. Still good, just not my favorites. So at number 10, we have Hell to Pay. And this one is about Homer getting a hair transplant from, I think the character's name is Snake, right? The guy who's like a criminal and everything. Basically, he is executed. For what, I don't even remember. But his hair is donated to Homer, and his hair basically is possessed by Snake, and he makes Homer do bad things, basically. The Simpsons has a balance of humor and horror. Some of them are a little bit more humorous than others. I tend to like some of the more funny, sometimes more fairy tale based ones. But yeah, this one was just ridiculous fun. Number 2 is The Thing and I, and this is about Bart finding out he was born as a conjoined twin and that his parents had been hiding his twin, having him caged and basically chained up in the attic. And um, they end up leaving, and Bart's alone. And then the twin, whose name I believe is Hugh, tries to rejoin them together by sewing them together and everything. Then there's like a twist at the end, which shouldn't be surprising. Number 3 is Whiz Kids, and this is a Harry Potter parody, basically. It's more on the funny side. There's nothing really, I would say, too like gory with this one, but there's like Burns, and I think he turns, if I remember correctly, into like a dragon or something like that. Is it Burns? Or is it just a dragon? I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. Oh no, yeah, because he's playing Voldemort basically, and he does something with the dragon. I can't remember exactly, but Millhouse is supposed to be taming this dragon, and things kind of go awry. But yeah, I always love the lines, the jokes, and everything, especially in these episodes. At the beginning, the kids are eating breakfast, and she says, "You're gonna miss your bus to wizard school." And so Lisa like changes the clock, and she's like, "That's not good for the clock." Uh, I just love stuff like that. Number 4 is Terror of Tiny Toon, or the Terror of Tiny Toon, and this is. Did I say number 4? Okay, Sorry, I read that wrong. So we're going from 10, 9. So 9 was the thing and I, and 8 then is the Terror of Tiny Toon. Sorry, no, we're on number 7. Yeah, we're on number 7 now. It's the Terror of Tiny Toon, and basically, uh, Bart and Lisa get stuck in an episode of Itchy and Scratchy, and they have to survive. So they have like bulging eyes and other stuff that comes from like cartoons and stuff. Basically, they are a part of a cartoon, and if you know anything with the Simpsons and Itchy and Scratchy are always violent cartoons, so they have to survive this violent cat and mouse cartoon. Um, that one's a little bit more on the horror-ish side, but still has its humorous points. I think that's the one where Bart comes out um, as a skeleton, and he always got like his head, and Marge's like, "Oh, a skeleton," and Lisa like reverses it with the remote because I think he was eaten by piranhas or something like that, and he's like, "That is gonna hurt tomorrow." Number 7 is Easy Bake Coven. So this is set in like 1600s or something like that. When they were doing all those witch trials and stuff, basically. And Marge is a witch, and they find out she's a witch, and she has to leave Homer. And of course, her sisters are making jokes and everything. And they're watching the townspeople through like their cauldron and everything. And one of them talks about, I think it might have been Mrs. Lovejoy, about how they eat children. And it's either Patty or someone, I can never remember. But she's like, we were just going to swipe their shoes, but a good idea is a good idea. So they set out to, find children to consume as stereotypical witches do. And one of them, and I always forget what character's playing what townsperson, but basically she's like, wouldn't you rather have gingerbread children instead? Pretty sure she says something like they're boneless or something. And so they decide not to eat children and opt for, eating the gingerbread kids. And this is basically how like the trick-or-treating stuff started according to this episode, right? They're trying to like appease these witches and stuff. One of them gets a caramel cod. Number 6 is number 5. Number 5 is Attack of the 50-foot eyesore. And this is about a storm that brings to life like advertisements, right? Like statues and stuff, basically. And they have to find a way to stop them because they're basically destroying the town. And one of my favorite parts is there's this donut shop, and Homer like loves donuts and everything, so he steals this statue's huge donut he's holding in his hand, right? He like gets rope and like takes down and everything, if I remember correctly. And so this isn't a real donut. It's a big, huge, like metal, steel, whatever donut. It's an advertisement, right? So he ends up stealing this big donut, and the character comes looking for it. Like, he literally knocks on the door and bends down because, he's a huge thing. And, Homer's like, Flanders has it. So he walks over to Flanders, basically rips off the roof, and is mad because Homer lied, and he comes back. Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. Number 4 is time and punishment. So Homer is trying to fix the toaster, and he ends up doing something that makes him go through alternate realities. So there's one where Ned Flanders is like the ruler of the world, and people get like parts of their brain taken out, like I think basically like lobotomies and stuff to kind of make them obedient. And they're all like dressing like Ned and everything. And then there's one where Patty and Selma are dead because he doesn't get along with them, so he's happy about that. But then he asks them to pass the donuts because he's like, well-behaved children. His wife is there, sister-in-laws are dead, and then he asks to pass one of them to pass a donut, and he freaks out because Marge is like, "What's a donut?" And then he runs, and it's raining donuts. So in that universe, donuts are rain, basically. Then we have number 3, which is Night of the Dolphin. So in this episode, we learned that dolphins used to live on the land, and they were pushed out by humans to the sea, and now they are wanting to get back on land, and they are seeking revenge. Yeah, this is another one of those absolutely ridiculous ones, and I love the ending. Not to spoil it for anybody, but these have been out for quite some time now. In the end, they're all in the water, basically. Like the furniture, everything is floating around in the water, and Homer's like, "You got to give it to the dolphins. They just wanted it more." Number 2 is Hex in the City. So these next 2 are more like the fairy tale fantasy fun ones with like little horror elements to them. So they are walking around what's called Ethnic Town, and they come across a fortune teller. And they go in there, and she's like, "Are you a cop?" And Marge is like, "No, because you got to tell me if you are. I'm not a cop." And so she's like reading them tarot cards and everything. And no, I think she's going to. And then Homer ends up trashing her office, and then she finds this card that basically describes Homer. So she curses him to be trouble, basically, for everyone he loves. And Marge becomes like, I don't know, she like becomes full of blue hair, right? Like a furry monster. And Bart's neck becomes rubber. And there's this like running gag on The Simpsons where Homer like basically chokes Bart. And so because his neck is basically rubber, his neck like stretches and is like falling over and stuff, and Lisa is becoming a horse, if I remember. And so they have to find a way to stop this person, the fortune teller and everything, and her curse. And he's at the bar, and they tell him the only 2 things that can stop him are Jesus and a leprechaun. But they say go for the leprechaun because he's easier to catch. Basically, he's easier to catch than Jesus. And so they catch the leprechaun with Lucky Charms, and the leprechaun and the fortune teller basically end up falling in love. And they have a whole wedding. And then finally at number 1, we have Scary Stories Can Come True. And so this is a parody of Goldilocks and Hansel and Gretel. So Homer basically, as per like the original story, leaves the kids in the woods, and they have this book based on Grimm's fairy tales, so they're able to like navigate the world sort of and avoid certain things, or at least Lisa is, because like they come across the three Billy Goats gruff. Um, Mo, I think, is like the troll and stuff. And then there's a part with Goldilocks where they leave the three bears after eating their food and stuff, and they accidentally, I'm pretty sure it was accidentally, lock Goldilocks in the house with the bears, and she basically gets mauled by the bears. And then, of course, they come upon the gingerbread house and the witch, and um, Bart doesn't listen, but in the end, Homer basically eats through the house, and of course, they kill the witch, who it turns out actually does have a boyfriend named George Cauldron. So that was my list of 10 more of my favorite Treehouse of Horror segments. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what yours are. There's a lot more that I love, but these were just ones that I picked for this list. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.